The greatest actors of all time, Al Pacino! How does it feel to be Al Pacino?
Well, it feels many ways, naturally, like all of us, you know. One day you feel one way, but I feel pretty good now, let's put it that way. This is, it's a kind of a bit of a reality check, you know. You take a look at the work you've done, and it's very interesting that I'm still standing here, or sitting here, you know. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for this reception, which was astounding, great, wonderful thing. I recommend it to start the day or something. It's a good thing. Thank you for
So
that.
we listen to Any Given Sunday to motivate us, and I'll send you a copy of this to motivate you in the morning.
Oh, there it is. Okay. I know, I'll keep it in my head. It's going to motivate me every day.
So let's talk about Al Pacino, the actor. And there's a difference between, or is there a difference between an artist and a businessman? I mean, you've dealt with all kinds of people for the longest time. You are an artist.
Well, I tell you, I think the businessman and the artist is really, there are things about them that parallel, certainly a certain energy. And what parallels all of us really is appetite for whatever it is. I have to say, the businessman can be creative, really very creative. There's a very creative life. And it's a talent, like anything else is, as well as acting, is a talent. Being an artist, that's something I can't quite say, but there are a lot of great actors that I know, and then there are great actors who are also artists. And it's a long explanation that I don't have neither the intelligence to explain, but I know there's somewhat of a difference.
But just like in business, it takes a certain gravitas to stay on top.
Yeah.
As an actor, most of them, and we live in a town where everybody's a producer, everybody's a scriptwriter, everybody's this, and you've happened to have that sustainability. How long you been acting?
Oh, since I was this high. Maybe lower, I don't know. It's been my whole life. I don't know anything else except that time I was a failed businessman for a while.
Oh, what did you fail?
Just joking.
Oh. I thought I had a scoop.
That's called timing.
I thought I had a scoop for a minute.
That's why I'm still here, because I have timing.
But you've managed to stay on top of the industry and the profession.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And so is there a strategy to say, you know, how do we stay on top? How do we, you know, do something better? I mean, what's the thought process when most actors, they just come and go, and you've stayed forever?
Well, one thing I could say, I appreciate that, but one thing I could say is when I was, imagine being a young actor and then being asked to be in The Godfather. I mean, The Godfather was this movie at the time which made, I don't know, many of you in this audience were around at that time. You know, it was a long time ago. And there was this explosion and this great film that Coppola made. And because of it, it just exploded. It was the highest grossing film. And it at the same time, it was artistically, if I may say, a viable movie. It was, you know, it's a beautiful looking movie. It's and also commercial at the same time. It's usually you don't get both. But so it was very successful.
But they didn't want you, though. I mean,
Coppola really wanted.
But the producers did not want you in The Godfather.
No, the producers didn't. The business people did not want me. Sorry about that. Finally, I can get back at you guys. You know? I had no idea. Be honest, I have to be as clearly about that particular time. I was young. I was inexperienced. I had no idea what was in store for me. Who does, really? This guy, Francis Ford Coppola, saw me on stage in New York, and just sort of liked me. He liked me and wanted me for another movie. So I went and did the went to meet him in San Francisco, which is where his Zoetrope was, and there with him was Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, all these great to-be filmmakers, and I was there, and we went out 4 or 5 nights together talking about this movie he wanted me to do. And it wasn't The Godfather, it was a movie called Love Story, actually. Not The Love Story, but about a college professor who falls in love with one of his students. It was a beautifully written screenplay. As you know, I don't know if you know that Francis Ford Coppola wrote Patton. George C. Scott won the Oscar for it, General Patton. And he is a great writer. And they didn't want me, the producers or whoever. I never was wanted. I do remember that about growing up. I was never sort of wanted. And, you get used to it, or you learn to adjust to it, talk about motivation. But at this time, I went back home, and they said they don't want to take a chance on an unknown, especially one who looks like you. I thought, well, it wasn't the fashionable look, the way I looked in those days. It took Dustin Hoffman to burst on the scene in The Graduate when, short guys suddenly had a break.
So Damien would have a shot in today's market.
Who would?
Damien, the guy, my guy in the back who ran fast.
Oh, Damien.
Yeah.
He's not short. I went and stood right next to him like this, I said, hey, Damien, you're short. No, I didn't. No, he's not short. When I look at Damien, I don't think short. But when I look at you and Damien together, I think short.
Oh, my God.
So what am I saying? Things are relative.
You don't need to say anything else.
Okay.
We can end this.
Okay.
I am happy. Thank you, everyone.
All
Good
right,
night.
thank you very much. This was a short visit.
It's like the Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there it is.
So let's talk about, in today's market...
But the point was that Coppola wanted me, so much so, for this movie called The Godfather. And I didn't have any idea that I was going to be a part of it. I had read the book, I thought it was great. And then I get a phone call in the middle of everything, and it's Francis Coppola on the other end of the phone saying, hi, Al. I said, this is a voice from the past. I said, Francis Coppola. He says, hi. I said, hey, man, how are you? I didn't know. He said, I'm good. How are things? I said, how are things in Frisco? He said, really good, things. But I just wanted to tell you something. I got The Godfather to direct. You have to understand, I thought he had lost it, I thought he'd gone crazy, really.
How old were you back then?
I was 28 or something. And I thought, this guy's an avant-garde filmmaker. What is he doing? Paramount Pictures is giving him this kind of a movie. I mean, it's the biggest movie of the year. I mean, it was touted as the next Gone with the Wind. And he said, no, they gave me the movie. I said, Francis, that's amazing. I mean, the first thing I thought, and I'll be honest with you, I thought, Paramount's very smart to give this movie to this guy. I just felt his genius when I was in San Francisco. I knew he had something extra. And so there it was, and then I realized it was amazing. I said so, and then he said, and by the way, I'd like you to play Michael. And I had a laugh, I mean, this guy just liked me. What am I gonna, I had no idea, I just said, me? He said, yeah, you. And I thought, there's no way in the world that I'll ever be able to play that part. The powers that be, they think he's crazy. If I think he's crazy, imagine what Paramount Studios must think. Again, I had not gotten more known than I was before. I was just... Anyway, he said, it's me. It's a long story, but after a while, I got to get into the picture. And from the moment I got into the picture, they wanted me out. So, just when I, thought I was out, they wanted me back in, So there it was. Francis fought for me. They didn't want Brando. They didn't want me. They were real holdouts. And finally, Brando got in. And then They saw a few minutes from the Panic in Needle Park, which is about 8-minute reel, and they said, well, maybe he can do it. But while I was in it, they were thinking I was gonna, it was just, I was on my last legs. Even Francis said to me, Al, I don't know what's going on. I said, I don't know. I don't know either. I'm doing the role. I worked very hard on the part, I have to say. I used to walk from, I had an apartment on 91st and Broadway. Anybody know Manhattan?
Yes.
91st and Broadway, right down to the Village. I'd walk and back again every day, just thinking about the part, you know, just trying to absorb it, trying to figure it out. Because I thought from the book, it was a difficult role. It was a role that was very low key, very subtle, very nuanced. And I tried to find it in myself somehow. And that took a process, which I was doing at the time. And eventually, I went and played it. So I didn't quite know if I was doing it right or wrong. I was just doing it, taking a chance on the way I believed it should be done.
Isn't the same thing business and acting? I mean, you go in there and you're embodied and you're trying things, and how do you know what's working and what's not, and going through your head? Isn't that the same thing in business?
Well, it depends on the kind of business you're in, no? I guess, you know,
we all have a part to play.
we all have a part to play, and I've known businessmen in my life, great ones, and some of them are my real good friends, actually, who I've come to know. And I think it's this idea that you stick to something you connect to. Whatever that thing you believe in whatever the deal is, the appetite, like I said earlier, is very important, I think. The appetite to want to get in there and
make things better, make the part better, make the business better.
All of it.